Hello. Hope everyone out there is doing well. Your 2026 is off to a good start. You had a nice holiday season to end last year. So today I'm going to be talking about something a little off topic. I'm going to be talking about resolutions. It's that time of year. People are making New Year's resolutions. And so I just felt like a good time to discuss the concept. Um, so I'm going to go into a couple things. One, talk about more traditional resolutions where you're actually picking what it is you want to change, and then the other is a different type of resolution that I wrote about a few years back, and I'll put that link in the description. That talks a little. It's called a reverse resolution, is what I called it, and it's a way to kind of backdoor your brain into a change that you want to make, or maybe even aren't aware you want to make, but just a way to improve yourself. That's a little bit different. Involves a little bit different process. First, the traditional resolution, if you're wanting to make a change and are setting a resolution, the problem that resolutions have so often is that our brains are really kind of designed to protect our identity. And so when you make a resolution, you're kind of reinforcing the identity that you want to change as opposed to the one that you're trying to establish. And that's why they fail so often. That's why people struggle with them so much. Um, so if you wanted to make a resolution, say for example, you want to eat better, you want to lose weight. If you make a traditional resolution, you're basically telling your brain that you don't eat well and you're too heavy, and that's the identity that you're establishing, and your brain will work to protect that, and it makes it really hard to overcome that. You can do it, but it requires a lot of effort, a lot of willpower, and that's why resolutions fail so often. If you wanted to do something like that and set an intent like losing weight or eating better, the better strategy is to actually day to day, several times throughout the day, reinforce the identity that you're trying to establish by, anytime you eat an apple instead of junk food or something, you just tell your brain, oh look, I'm eating an apple. I eat healthy. I'm a healthy person, and that creates that identity. It's a much better approach than a typical resolution, because you're creating the identity that your brain then, over time, if you do this consistently for a couple weeks, will begin to believe, and it'll begin to protect. So whenever you are trying to eat healthy, and it just becomes easier and easier, as opposed to the typical resolution where it's protecting the identity you actually want to get rid of. So that's just a tip for people who will actually want to do a typical resolution. It's just a better approach. Instead of working on the behavior, think about the identity and approach it that way. So hopefully that helps. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the thing I wrote about a few years ago, which I call a reverse resolution, and that basically involves finding a dictionary. Maybe the hardest part of all of this in the day and age of the internet, and just flipping through, randomly pick a page, and then on those two pages there, just kind of move around and with your eyes closed, pick a word, and let your intuition guide you a little bit. I think, like try to, use your intuition as you're doing it, I guess would be my advice. But once you finally arrive at a word, the goal is to then basically craft a resolution around that word, because our brains are associative. So if you have a word, it can kind of represent something for you. So like when I first did this, the word I got was longhorn beetle, which I hated because it was impossible to think of a resolution built around longhorn beetle. But then I realized after a couple weeks of like struggling with this was that and I was just annoyed because it didn't meet my expectation. And I realized that was actually what I needed help with, was meeting expectations. Sorry about that. The sirens and helicopters and dogs barking at them was just a little too much. So needed to take a pause. So anyway, as I was saying, longhorn beetle just really became a symbol for me that I would use anytime events weren't really matching my expectations. And it was just kind of funny enough, silly, stupid enough that I was able to really help me take that step back whenever I needed to, and just think about, okay, yeah, this doesn't match what I expected, but what do I got here? And really just take things as they were, as opposed to what my expectation was. And it ended up being really a great tool for me, and one I really needed. So anyway, that was that. This year, I ended up with Polish, which was really great and kind of way easier because considering how much content creation I plan on doing this year, I have some books that needed to be edited. I want to get published. And so all of those things need to be polished, right? So for me, it was a lot easier. It made a lot more sense in terms of what the word meant. And for me, I think it's just going to be a motivator in terms of getting my content in a polished form, getting my writing in a polished form. So I think it's going to be more of a motivator. And like I said, way easier to decipher. So it's two pretty good examples at the opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the type of word that you can get between Longhorn Beetle and Polish and what they can be used for. So hopefully that helps. And then this whole video will just kind of help you if you're somebody who wants to, do a resolution or just try to improve yourself in general. A couple different techniques that you can use to do so. So that's it. We've got some more content coming soon. In the meantime, hope this helps and everyone's having a great new year. All right, take care.